Hey, y'all. Welcome to the Share the Health podcast with your co-hosts, Amy, Katelyn, and Mariah.
This podcast is for women who feel frustrated by the failures of the traditional healthcare system and are looking for solutions.
We'll be diving into all things women's health, being a female business owner, and life as a woman. Now let's get into today's episode.
Hey. So today we have a new guest on the podcast, and I have the pleasure to introduce Katelyn Maginnes, and she is the owner of PCPY Power Yoga. So thank you so much for coming on, Katelyn.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah, so to start, we just really want to know about like who you are and what you do.
Sure. So I first, because really it takes a lot of my time, I'm a mom to a 4-year-old little boy. There's some sirens. I'm a wife to a golf broadcaster, and I am a yogi and a yoga studio owner. And really try and balance all of those things. So not always is one more important than the other, but those are kind of the three things that take up my life and make it all happen right now.
That's amazing. We talk about balance all the time here. It's very challenging to balance being, who we were before starting a business and like who we are like after starting a business. So
for sure.
And then throw kids into that.
Well, they just become, everything just kind of becomes one, which is truly how I always envisioned it. So my kid knows my work and knows my business, and a lot of my students know my kid, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's a beautiful blend. So tell us a little bit more about like when you started Port City Power Yoga, because I feel like you started during COVID, right?
Yes. So my family moved to Wilmington in August of 2020. We had physically outgrown our house. We lived in Greensboro, North Carolina, and my husband had always wanted to live in Wilmington. And, when everything's a little slower, it just like felt okay. It felt okay to leave because we were already just in our own kind of little bubble. So we started looking at houses in Wilmington. We moved to Wilmington in August of 2020. And then when we got here, we realized how much we missed the yoga community we were a part of in Greensboro, North Carolina. So in looking, and it was a very odd time to be looking at yoga studios because in communities, because studios had just like opened back up and just had the opportunity to have people in their space physically. So I was going, like, as soon as the studio would open a public class, I was right there. I was like, I need this. I want this so bad. And then I realized kind of with life, and I was a new mom, that location was really important to me. And so one thing led to another, and I opened a yoga studio 2 blocks away from my house. It had been a dream, but it was not the point of moving to Wilmington. It was something that was probably inevitably going to happen, but I thought it would be a little bit further down the line. And again, it was a sign in the window. My husband suggested I call. I called. The person was really nice. The space needed a complete remodel, but again, the location, I could walk over kind of at a moment's notice, and that worked really well for the place that I was at in life. So opening a business with a small child meant that he was kind of coming with me a lot of places. And if something last minute needed to be taken care of, I was able to do that because I was only 2 blocks away. So location truly had a lot to do with everything and how it all came together. And then it was really cool to build the studio. Like, it kind of became and is becoming, we're only a little over 2 years old. It is becoming the neighborhood yoga studio. So people walk in the neighborhood, they bike, they live nearby, or it's something that they see regularly on their way to work, to and from their everyday. So that has been really cool, and wasn't really part of the plan, but I love how it's become who we are.
Yeah, I love how it wasn't really like part of the plan and everything just sort of like happened. Um,
Yeah, it was, and I've experienced that a lot in kind of my yoga journey and career, is that the more I say yes, the more often I say yes, the more things fall into place. So you should call that number. Okay. Let's schedule an appointment to go look at it. Okay. Just like the yes, the yes, the yes. Do you want the space? Yes. Do you want to rebuild it? Yes. Are you going to open a yoga studio? Yes. And even if they're like really kind of take a big breath before they happen, yeses, really amazing things have come out of just saying the yes and doing the thing.
I love that so much. And I've taken a few yoga classes like with you, and I feel like PCPY Power Yoga has a very like specific yoga style that I feel like is different than like other studios. And you have like the infrared, like the heat feels so good too.
Yeah, so we are a heated studio, and we teach based on Baptiste yoga methodology. So it's a type of really rooted in tradition style of yoga. It's also very accessible to both beginner and a more experienced yogi. So all of our classes are all levels. And after you come a few times, because we teach within this methodology and within Baptiste yoga kind of sequence and structure, you start to get a feel for what to expect. And I find a lot of value in that consistency, and in a little ways knowing what's coming. I would say stress comes from not knowing what's coming. And so when you're wanting to go do something to relieve stress or to kind of step outside of your everyday, it's nice in a way to know what's coming in a yoga sequence and a class. So we really strive for consistency from class to class, and just like what you're going to get, not in a boring kind of way. Of course, there's plenty of personality, teacher to teacher, and day to day. Teachers are in a different place, your body's in a different place, but that consistency is really important to us. And yes, the infrared heat, I couldn't. We moved a little bit warmer. I love the warm. It's absolutely amazing in January, but it's just that like super cozy kind of a hug, kind of warm, and it makes your body feel good.
Yeah, I feel like you can like move and stretch a little bit better like in the heat. And then, I mean, this is like a small thing, but I love it, is the cooling towels.
Yeah. So at the end of class, there's a cold lavender towel, a nice little, it's like your yoga dessert, a little treat.
Yes, so amazing. Like, oh, it smells so good.
And
But
I don't know, it's like, I just worked so hard, or was challenged or was sweaty, and then you have that little treat that comes from it, comes at the end.
I love that. I mean, I know you mentioned already that like you had the vision to eventually, open up a yoga studio, but that it happened in a faster timeline than expected. Was that something that you always, you know, you had always imagined doing, or, you know,
Well, I did my first yoga teacher training as a student in 2016, and I'd already caught the bug. But I did this training and I wasn't quite sure like what it was going to look like. I had a career as a textile designer, and I kept that career for quite a while, until we moved, about 10 years, until we moved to Wilmington. But even in that time, so I became a yoga teacher, and I looked at opening a sister studio to the studio I was a part of in Greensboro, in another town in Winston-Salem. And timing and things just didn't quite work out, where like the yeses weren't there and the ease and the just it wasn't perfect. So I had looked into opening a studio, owning a studio before, and it just hadn't worked out. That was about the time I met my husband. He wasn't the reason it didn't work out, but he had known. And so I think when we moved here, he was like, we're gonna open a yoga studio. And I was like, you're crazy. We have a small child. We are not opening a yoga studio. I don't even know anyone here. And then yes, it did end up probably happening faster than I would have guessed.
What was it like to, not know anybody here and then like open up a yoga studio? Is there anything that has sort of been surprising to you or unexpected to you, like in that journey?
Well, I will say I have met some absolutely amazing people in Wilmington in general. Even just the three of you guys on this call, it's been super, Wilmington has been super welcoming, and I have appreciated that. But I've met incredible people through the yoga studio. I'd say half of my friends now I've met from the yoga studio, and many of them just walked in the door. And then next thing you know, we're pretty dear friends. So I have been like shocked and awed, humbled, and really honored by everyone that I've met from the yoga studio. And I think in a way it was another one of those meant to be things. Like I knew that I missed community. I wasn't sure that I was going to be the person to create it, but turns out that I was. And a really beautiful community has come from opening Port City Power Yoga.
Yeah, I feel like every time I have been to like a class, it seems like everybody in the class like does know each other, like fairly well. And, I think that's really, really comforting too. Kind of going back to like what you said about like, things not being always a surprise. It's kind of like, okay, like these are my people. This is like, like my class.
Yeah. And I'll say, and I would guess that probably some community members would say the same thing, and that like you feel like your family immediately, you feel like you're friends with the person next to you immediately. And I wish I could tell you why, but there's something about walking in the door, showing up a handful of times, and you already belong.
I love that. Do you have, looking back on the journey so far with opening up Port City Power Yoga and then kind of thinking about the future of like where you see it growing or, going, or whatever your vision is for the yoga community here, does that look like anything for you?
Sure. Well, currently we just added a new class. So we have 2 to 4 classes a day on our schedule, a little over 20, 18 to 22. I haven't done the total count, but we're somewhere in there, classes a week. And I would love to double that. So just in our current space we have now, I'd love to double the amount of classes that we're offering, therefore making space for more people to be in just in our studio and a part of our community. But also bigger picture, there's a lot of really awesome yoga in Wilmington, and part of that I discovered in my kind of introduction, my self tour of Wilmington through yoga studios. But there's a lot of really awesome yoga in Wilmington. I find that there's a lot of people that are interested in health and they want to feel good around here. I think some of that comes with our beachy vibe. There's a reason we landed here and we stayed, and I'd say a lot of it is like to carry a little bit of that vacation feeling with us every day, which you usually feel pretty good on vacation. So I'd like to see some like bigger picture community yoga, a big community event that different studios and different communities collaborate on. I mean, kind of like a fest, but even like just a big practice that has 1,500 people at it. You know, kind of like a one thing, like a big yoga practice that has 1,500 people at it would be absolutely amazing. And a collaboration of other studios, I look to make that happen in some capacity.
That would be so cool because I feel like in other, I'm from Georgia, from Atlanta, and like I think there is something like that where it's like a huge, like it's like outside, like in a field, and like everybody comes, like massive. I think that would be so cool here, like somewhere downtown or I don't know, like a what's it
Yeah,
called?
I think the amphitheater park is perfect.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, what is it called? I can't remember.
Yeah, and filled like it is on the concert, but everyone's
Yeah.
doing yoga.
Everyone's doing yoga. Yeah.
Yeah,
That would be so cool. I hope you do that.
we'll see. Maybe let's see if I say it out loud, it might come true. So maybe a year from now.
Yeah, I love that.
That seems the right timing.
A year from now. Is there anything that you're like looking forward to in this, it's January 2024 right now. Is there anything you're looking forward to this upcoming year?
So I just started a 200-hour teacher training program. So I have a group of new trainees. We just finished our first of 8 weekends. So that's a really exciting thing that the studio that we have going on, it brings great energy to the studio and just enthusiasm, both from participants and other practitioners that are kind of cheering everybody on. So that's something that we have going on the first half of the year. And it's a great kind of plug-in and exciting thing going on in our studio. And, really, I'm just excited to see all the new people that I'll meet. So we have a really awesome and strong community, and those folks are coming back, and they're coming back year 2, which really makes a new and small business owner super like thankful and grateful and excited for these people that have bought in and want to be a part of what you're up to. But I'm excited to see who else is gonna come check us out and join in what we're up to.
That's amazing. And this is the first time that you guys are doing like the yoga teacher training?
It's actually our second time. We did a 200-hour teacher training last year in 2023, and actually about half of our teaching team is from that group. And so this will be our second round, and so far the first weekend was amazing. So if that's gonna set the tone for the year, I look forward to it.
Oh, I can't wait to see like how this year continues to like grow and pan out for you.
Thank you.
Cool. Well, so if anybody wants to come check out the studio and take a class, or maybe if they're interested in yoga teacher training in the future, where can they find you and connect with you, Kaitlyn?
Yes. So online, we are portcitypoweryoga.com. We are Port City Power Yoga on Instagram, Port City Power Yoga on Facebook. Pretty easy. And then physically in Wilmington, we are on the corner of 16th Street and Market Street towards downtown, in between the Soda Pop District, in between Cargo District, kind of on your way from downtown to the Cargo District, next to Whitefront Breakfast House, across from Domino's Pizza. If you want to balance your life with a little yin, a little yang, a little yoga, a little Domino's, we're not going to judge you. But 12 South 16th Street is our physical address.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I highly recommend the yoga classes. They are great.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course. And to finish it off, we always end with a high five, Kaitlyn. So we're going to do a little group high five.
Okay.
8, set, go. Woo!